Physics doesn't take vacations. While you seek shade, gravity is calculating the sheer failure of 400 tons of rock above your head. We are analyzing 6 cases where the scenery stopped being a backdrop and became an executioner. This is a cold study of environmental mechanics. Nature is not a park. It is a machine. If you think a palm tree or a pile of sand is harmless, you are the next variable. Observe, analyze, survive. It is July 24, 2012, a Tuesday that stands as the definition of a perfect British summer. The location is the Jurassic coast of Dorset, a place where history is written in stone. The towering sandstone cliffs of Burton Bradstock glow gold in the intense heat, forming a picturesque wall that has stood for 185 million years. To the thousands of tourists on the beach, these cliffs are a symbol of permanence, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that feels as solid as the Earth itself. But this sense of security is a lethal deception. The human brain is wired to trust the ground it walks on, filtering out the reality that geology is a violent, active machine. Among the crowd seeking relief from the sun is the Blackman family. At the center of this group is 22-year-old Charlotte Blackman. She is vibrant, happy, and completely at ease, walking along the shingle beach with her father and boyfriend. They are strolling directly beneath the cliff face, seeking the cool shade it offers. This is a fatal error born of instinct. We naturally seek shelter near large, solid objects, assuming they will protect us. Charlotte does not know that the environment has been primed for catastrophe by the weather itself. For weeks prior, relentless rains lashed the coast, soaking deep into the porous sandstone. The water added immense weight to the cliff structure and lubricated the microscopic fissures hidden deep within the rock. Then, the weather shifted to a blistering heat wave. The sudden rise in temperature caused the outer face of the rock to expand, while the inner core remained cool and damp. This thermal stress created a silent, invisible fracture line. The cliff is no longer a static wall. It is a loaded weapon, held together by friction that is rapidly evaporating. There are no warning signs. No pebbles trickle down to signal danger. The beach is filled with the sounds of laughter and ocean waves, masking the internal groans of the earth. Charlotte is walking through the convergence zone at the exact moment the geological clock strikes 0. At approximately 12:30 p.m., the structural integrity of the cliff fails completely. It does not slide, it detaches. A section of the rock face, weighing an estimated 400 tons, succumbs to gravity in a split second. The sound is not a rumble, but a deafening, thunderous crack, like a bomb detonating in a library. It echoes through the summer air, instantly silencing the crowd. Charlotte is directly in the shadow of the falling mass. The physics of the event allow for no survival instinct to take over. The human auditory reaction time is roughly 0.117 seconds, but processing the threat takes nearly a second. The rockfall covers the distance faster than her brain can comprehend the sound. She has no time to scream, no time to run, and no time to be afraid. The scene transforms instantly from a family holiday to a geological crisis. The collapse is absolute. The debris field consists of boulders the size of cars and a deluge of suffocating soil. Charlotte is struck by the leading edge of the landslide. The impact causes immediate catastrophic blunt force trauma. The sheer mass of the debris results in a non-survivable compression event, instantly terminating all biological functions. There is no suffering. The speed of the collapse outpaces the speed of pain transmission to the nervous system. Her father and boyfriend, walking just steps away, are thrown backward by the violent displacement of air and dust, physically unharmed but mentally shattered by the proximity of death. The aftermath creates a haunting, frozen tableau. A massive cloud of golden dust rises into the blue sky, slowly drifting over the stunned beachgoers. For a moment, there is a terrible silence, followed by the eruption of chaotic panic. The survival instinct drives bystanders to rush toward the pile, fueled by desperate, illogical hope. They tear at the rocks with bare hands, fingers bleeding against the rough stone, trying to move boulders that require heavy industrial cranes to shift. It is a futile battle of human strength against ancient geology. The rescue effort continues for hours, But the reality was sealed in the first millisecond of the fall. When emergency crews finally clear the site, the truth is confirmed. The landscape simply erased a life. The tragedy at Burton Bradstock is a cold lesson in the indifference of nature. We treat the earth as a scenic backdrop for our leisure, forgetting its volatility. Charlotte Blackman made no mistakes. She took no risks. She simply existed in the wrong coordinates at the moment a millions-year-old process reached its conclusion. The cliff did not target her. It simply fell. Today, the beach remains beautiful, but for those who witnessed the collapse, the Golden Cliffs are no longer a wonder of nature, but a towering reminder that on the geological timeline, human safety is nothing more than a temporary coincidence. It is January 16, 2011, a sweltering Sunday afternoon in Miramar, Argentina. The Atlantic coast is packed with thousands of locals and tourists seeking relief from the summer heat. The beach is a vibrant patchwork of towels, coolers, and the most common item of the season, the beach umbrella. Hundreds of them are planted in the sand, creating a makeshift forest of nylon and aluminum. Among the crowd is 28-year-old Edith Casas. She has come to the beach to relax, sitting in the shade, watching the waves, and enjoying the company of her family. She is in the designated safe zone of her life, a public beach, surrounded by people, far from the dangers of traffic or crime. But she is unaware that she is surrounded by potential weapons. A commercial-grade beach umbrella is heavy, often weighing over 40 pounds. It consists of a wide canopy designed to catch the sun and a thick metal pole with a sharpened tip, designed to be driven deep into the sand. However, in terms of physics, an umbrella is structurally identical to a sail. If it is not anchored deep enough, or if the sand is too loose, it only takes one specific atmospheric condition to turn it into a projectile. This is the hidden danger that everyone ignores. The wind on the coast is constant, usually a gentle breeze that cools the skin. But at 3:01 p.m., the atmosphere shifts. A sudden, violent gust of wind, a localized microburst, tears across the beach. It hits a large umbrella stationed upwind from Edith. The force of the air catches the concave underside of the canopy, generating massive lift. The friction holding the metal pole in the sand fails instantly. The heavy umbrella is ripped from the ground, launching into the air like a javelin. It does not just tumble, it accelerates. The wind drives it forward, and gravity pulls the heavy metal shaft into a horizontal position. It is now a 40-pound missile flying at nearly 20 miles per hour, tumbling through a crowd of unsuspecting families. This is the moment where probability and tragedy collide. Edith is sitting directly in the flight path. The noise of the wind in the ocean masks the sound of the approaching object. She has no warning. She does not see it coming. The umbrella rotates in the air, but as it nears her, the sharpened metal tip, the part meant to pierce the earth, aligns perfectly with her body. The impact is sudden and brutal. The metal pole strikes her in the chest with the kinetic energy of a sledgehammer. The force of the impact is concentrated on a tiny surface area, allowing the blunt metal to act like a spear. It impacts the right side of her thorax. The collision is so violent that it bypasses the protection of the rib cage and causes catastrophic trauma to the internal organs. It is a high-velocity impact that compromises the body's core functions in a fraction of a second. Edith collapses onto the sand. The umbrella bounces off and comes to rest, looking once again like a harmless piece of beach furniture. The scene descends into absolute panic. Bystanders scream, lifeguards rush in, but the damage is already done. The physics of the impact were too severe. She is rushed to the local hospital in Miramar, where doctors fight to stabilize her. But the trauma is non-survivable. The structural damage is simply too extensive for biological recovery. The residual echo of this event is terrifying because of its absurdity. We are taught to fear the ocean's currents or the burning sun, but we never fear the shade. We trust that the objects around us will stay put. Edith Casas did nothing wrong. She did not take a risk. She was simply sitting in the wrong place when the wind turned a symbol of comfort into an instrument of death. The beach in Miramar remains popular, but for those who were there, the sight of a loose umbrella tumbling in the wind is no longer a minor annoyance. It is a reminder of how quickly a sunny day can turn into a nightmare. It is a lesson in the lethality of everyday objects. When the wind blows hard enough, even a shelter can become a weapon. It is August 14th, 2012, a foggy Tuesday morning at Oceanside Harbor Beach, California. The Pacific coastline is waking up, and the beach is dotted with early risers seeking peace before the heat of the day sets in. Among them is 67-year-old Abby Murner. She is not a tourist. She is a local, familiar with the rhythms of this shore. She finds a spot on the soft sand, spreads out her towel, and lies down to relax. To fully disconnect from the world, she puts on a pair of headphones and closes her eyes. In this moment, she makes a choice that millions of us make every day. She trades her situational awareness for comfort. She creates a private bubble of sound, effectively blinding her ears to the warnings of the physical world. She feels safe because she is in a designated recreation zone, a place built for leisure. But she is unaware that she is sharing this space with heavy industrial machinery. The beach does not clean itself. It requires maintenance performed by massive tractors pulling heavy sifting rakes. These machines are designed to churn the sand, removing trash and debris to keep the beach pristine for the very people lying on it. On this morning, one such tractor is performing its routine patrol. It is a slow-moving giant, weighing several tons, its diesel engine roaring with enough decibels to be heard from hundreds of feet away. But Abby cannot hear it. Her music masks the low-frequency rumble of the approaching tires. The driver of the tractor is operating in a state of routine autopilot. He has done this thousands of times. He is scanning the sand for obstacles, but the brain has a flaw. When you stare at a monotonous landscape of beige sand for hours, you stop seeing the details. This is inattentional blindness. He is looking for trash piles or large driftwood. He is not expecting a human being to be lying flat, perfectly still, camouflaged against the sand by a towel that blends into the environment. The tragedy unfolds in slow motion. The tractor is moving at a crawling pace, roughly 5 miles per hour. It is not a sudden accident. It is a gradual, agonizing convergence of two separate realities. Abby is lost in her music, eyes closed, perhaps drifting into sleep. The driver is looking forward, but the blind spot created by the tractor's front loader or the angle of the sun obscures the woman on the ground. There is no last-minute jump, no scream, no realization. The massive rubber tire of the industrial vehicle, designed to float over sand but heavy enough to crush concrete, makes contact. Because Abby is isolated by her audio, she likely feels the ground vibration only a split second before impact, far too late to react. The mechanics of the event are brutal and absolute. The multi-ton machine rolls directly over her upper body. The human rib cage, while strong, cannot withstand the compressive force of a heavy equipment vehicle. The weight causes immediate, catastrophic structural failure of the thoracic cavity. It is a compressive trauma that is instantly fatal. The pressure spikes her blood pressure to critical levels and stops the heart within moments. She is instantly submerged into the terrain by the mechanics of the vehicle. The driver, insulated by the noise of his engine and the suspension of his cab, feels a bump. In the context of driving over uneven sand dunes, a bump means nothing. He continues forward. He does not know he has just ended a life. He continues his line, sifting the sand, leaving a perfectly groomed track behind him. It is only when bystanders, who have watched this unfold in horror, begin waving and screaming that the machine finally grinds to a halt. The aftermath is a surreal nightmare. The music in Abby's headphones likely continues to play, a cheerful soundtrack to a forensic scene. The beach remains calm. The waves crash gently, but the illusion of safety is shattered forever. This incident is a terrifying example of how fragile our safety bubbles really are. We assume that because we are lying still, the world will move around us. We assume that if we are in a public park or beach, we are protected from industrial dangers. Abby Murner did not die because she was reckless. She died because she was invisible to a system that operates on mass and momentum. She turned off her senses in an environment that demanded vigilance, and the result was a collision between a soft biological organism and a blind mechanical force. The beach cleaner incident stands as a dark reminder. When you put on headphones in a public space, you are not just blocking out noise. You are turning off your primary survival mechanism, and sometimes the world does not stop for you. It is August 2nd, 2011, a Tuesday afternoon that vibrates with the energy of summer on Ocean Beach, California. The Pacific Ocean provides a rhythmic, calming soundtrack for the thousands of people scattered across the sand. The beach is seen as the ultimate playground, a soft and forgiving landscape where adults can briefly return to the carefree mindset of childhood. Among the crowd is 32-year-old Marco Frappoli. He is not here to swim, he is here to build. He begins a project that appeals to a primal human instinct. To alter the terrain, he starts digging. What begins as a shallow scoop quickly evolves into a serious engineering challenge. Marco is not just digging a pit, he is excavating a tunnel, carving deep into a sand dune. To the naked eye, the sand appears structural. The moisture from the ocean tide binds the grains together, creating cool, smooth walls that feel as solid as concrete. This is a fatal deception. The landscape is lying to him. He believes he is building a fortress, but he is actually constructing a geological trap. He is unaware that sand is a granular fluid. It acts like a solid when undisturbed, but flows like a liquid the moment its friction is compromised. As Marco digs deeper, passing the 6-foot mark, he places himself inside a precarious bubble of air surrounded by tons of suspended mass. The physics of this environment are terrifying. A single cubic foot of dry sand weighs about 100 pounds. Wet, compacted sand, the kind Marco is carving, can weigh up to 120 pounds per cubic foot. The material hanging directly above his head is heavier than a mid-sized car, held in place by nothing more than the surface tension of water and the friction between grains. At approximately 4:30 p.m., the delicate equation of forces resolves itself. There is no warning rumble, no cracking timber. The sand simply reaches its limit. The tunnel walls do not crumble slowly. They liquefy. In a fraction of a second, the structure collapses inward. Marco is instantly buried under nearly 6 feet of dense, heavy sediment. This is not like being buried in snow or leaves. It is like being encased in quick-drying cement. The narrative shifts instantly from a playful afternoon to a frantic, claustrophobic nightmare. Inside the collapse, the reality is clinical and horrific. Marco is pinned in total darkness, his arms and legs locked in place by the immense weight. But the true killer is the pressure on his torso. The mechanism of death is known as compressive asphyxia. The sand acts like a vice around his chest. Every time Marco exhales, the sand shifts microscopically to fill the space created by his contracting rib cage. When he tries to inhale, the weight of the earth prevents his chest from expanding again. He is fighting against thousands of pounds of pressure just to draw a single breath. It is a biological impossibility. His lungs are functional, but the pump, the diaphragm and rib cage, is mechanically seized. Above ground, the scene descends into panic. His friends, realizing he has vanished, rush to the site. They begin to dig frantically with their hands and plastic beach toys. But the physics of sand make rescue a cruel paradox. The sand acts like an hourglass. For every handful they remove, gravity pulls more sand down from the sides to fill the void. The rescue attempt inadvertently destabilizes the ground further, causing more material to flow into the pit. They are digging in a flowing solid, fighting a losing battle against a mountain that keeps regenerating itself. Bystanders join in, forming a human chain, but they are too slow. The timeline for survival in a total burial event is measured in mere minutes. By the time emergency services arrive with heavy equipment and shoring boards, the outcome has already been decided by the weight of the dune. The residual echo of the event is a profound silence where there was once laughter. The hole is eventually cleared, but the life is gone. Marco Frappoli did not die because he was reckless in spirit. He died because he misunderstood the medium he was working with. He treated the sand as a toy, unaware that it is essentially crushed rock with the weight of industrial material. The tragedy at Ocean Beach serves as a brutal lesson in the mechanics of the earth. We often forget that the ground beneath us is heavy, indifferent, and governed by strict laws of gravity. A hole in the sand is never just a hole. If it goes deeper than your knees, it is a gravity trap waiting to snap shut. The beach remains a place of beauty, But for those who know the physics of the collapse, the dunes are no longer just hills of sand. They are sleeping giants waiting for someone to disturb their rest. It is February 26, 2010, on the idyllic shores of Maui, Hawaii. The landscape is a perfect cliché of paradise. The sun is hot, the sand is white, and the Pacific Ocean breathes a warm, salty breeze across the beach. For the tourists who flock here, this environment is an escape from the hazards of the modern world. The intense midday heat drives people to seek shade, and the most iconic source of shade in Hawaii is the coconut palm tree. One tourist, whose name was kept private to protect her family, makes a logical and seemingly safe decision. She finds a spot beneath a tall, mature palm tree that has likely stood on this coastline for over 50 years. It is a silent, towering landmark, a symbol of Hawaiian resilience that is bent in countless storms but has never broken. To sit beneath it is to trust in nature itself, but this trust is a fatal miscalculation. The tree is a living organism, and its age makes it vulnerable. Hidden from sight deep within its fibrous core, a slow, silent process of decay is underway. It could be an internal rot caused by a fungus, or a hollow space carved out by insects, or a deep structural fracture from a previous storm that never fully healed. On the outside, the tree appears perfectly healthy, its green fronds swaying gently in the wind. But on the inside, it is a hollowed-out shell, its structural integrity compromised and waiting for one final stressor. The trigger arrives not as a dramatic hurricane, but as a sudden, isolated gust of wind. It is a powerful downdraft, a localized microburst that strikes the beach with unexpected violence. The wind hits the dense crown of the palm, turning its collection of large leaves into a massive sail. The force is immense, and it is transferred down the trunk, instantly seeking out the weakest point. For a healthy tree, this force would be absorbed and dissipated through its flexible trunk. For this tree, it is an executioner's blow. There is no warning. There is no slow, creaking sound of stressed wood. There is only a single explosive noise that shatters the peaceful atmosphere of the beach. A sharp, percussive crack, like a rifle shot magnified 100 times. The sound is so abrupt and unnatural that it causes people all along the beach to freeze and look up. For the woman sitting directly below, the sound and the event are simultaneous. The human brain requires time to process an auditory signal and initiate a physical response. The tree falls faster than the speed of human reaction. The top section of the palm detaches completely and descends rapidly. The falling mass is well over 1,000 pounds, accelerated by gravity to a deadly velocity. The serene holiday moment is instantly overtaken by the physics of gravity. The woman is directly in the impact zone. The massive weight of the falling tree strikes her from above. The result is catastrophic blunt force trauma. The sheer compressive force causes immediate and non-survivable injuries to her head and torso. The outcome is instantaneous. There is no time for fear or pain. The biological system is simply overwhelmed and shut down by the pure physics of the impact. The aftermath is a scene of surreal horror. The top of the palm tree lies on the sand, its fronds splayed out like a fallen crown. The jagged, splintered stump of the remaining trunk points to the sky. The woman's personal belongings, a book, a beach bag, sunglasses, lie scattered in the sand. Artifacts of a life that was extinguished without warning. Panic erupts on the beach as the reality of the situation sets in. People scream, some running towards the scene to help, others away in shock. The illusion of a safe paradise is shattered. This tragedy is a cold reminder that nature is not a theme park designed for our comfort. The tourist did not take a foolish risk. She made a choice that seemed perfectly rational. She sought shelter from one force of nature, the sun, and was killed by another. It is a horrifying lesson in the hidden dangers of the world around us. Even the most solid and reassuring symbols of nature can harbor a fatal weakness, waiting for one final gust of wind to be revealed. It is January 29, 2011, a winter day along the Samuel H. Boardman State Scenic Corridor in Oregon. The landscape here is not one of gentle, inviting beaches. It is a raw, dramatic coastline where the Pacific Ocean has spent millennia at war with the land, carving towering sea stacks and stunning natural arches from solid rock. On this particular Saturday, the weather is deceptively beautiful. The sky is a crisp, clear blue, and the ocean's surface appears almost placid, with waves breaking in a steady, predictable rhythm far below the rocky cliffs. This illusion of calm is the Oregon coast's most lethal weapon. Among the many visitors drawn to this epic scenery are 19-year-old Jacqueline von Rutesch and 22-year-old Connor O'Brien. They are a young couple on an adventure, looking to capture the perfect photograph of the famous natural bridges, a breathtaking geological formation. They make their way out onto a prominent rocky outcrop, a finger of stone that extends far out over the water, offering an unparalleled view. From their perspective, they are entirely safe. They are standing on solid, dry rock, a good 20 feet above the highest line of the visible surf. The ocean seems to be obeying its established boundaries, and they have no reason to believe otherwise. They are unknowingly standing inside a trap. The Pacific Ocean in this region is infamous for a phenomenon known as the sneaker wave. These are not tsunamis, nor are they caused by local weather. They are born from powerful storms hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Out in the deep ocean, the energy from these distant storms causes multiple smaller waves to combine, their power synchronizing into a single massive swell that travels silently across the sea. These waves can arrive on days that are perfectly calm and sunny, often preceded by a period of unusual quiet where the water recedes slightly, lulling observers into a false sense of security. Jacqueline and Connor are focused on their task, their backs turned to the vast expanse of the open ocean. They are framing their shot, laughing and talking, completely absorbed in the moment of creating a memory. They are unaware of the invisible pulse of energy that has been traveling toward them for hours. The wave arrives without a sound. It does not crest and roar like a classic surfer's wave. It manifests as a sudden, terrifying surge. The entire sea level simply rises with unnatural speed, as if the whole ocean is taking a deep breath. A wall of cold, green water, moving with the momentum of a freight train, hits the base of the cliff. It does not break, it climbs. The wave washes over the rocky ledge where the couple is standing, a place that had been dry for the entire day. The force is unimaginable. A cubic foot of seawater weighs over 64 pounds, and this wave is a solid wall of kinetic energy. They are swept off their feet instantly, with no chance to grab onto anything, and plunged into the churning 48-degree Fahrenheit water. The atmosphere changes in a single, irreversible second from a scenic photo shoot to a desperate, unwinnable fight for survival. The first assault is the cold shock. The icy water triggers an involuntary gasp reflex, a deep, uncontrollable inhalation that forces seawater into their lungs. This is immediately followed by a systemic shock response that can overwhelm cardiovascular function. Within moments, the relentless cold begins its primary attack: hypothermia. The body, losing heat 25 times faster in water than in air, pulls blood away from the limbs to protect the vital organs. Their muscles seize up, coordination fails, and the ability to think rationally evaporates. The powerful undertow, a signature of a sneaker wave, begins pulling them away from the shore and out into the deeper, even colder water. Their heavy winter clothing, meant to protect them from the cold air, now becomes a waterlogged anchor, dragging them down and making it impossible to stay afloat. On the cliffs, other tourists watch in helpless horror. A rescue is impossible. The same forces that took the couple would claim anyone who dared to enter the water. All they can do is watch as the two figures are pulled further out to sea. The final, haunting artifact of the event is the camera left behind on the rocks. It contained the last images of their lives, a series of joyful pictures taken just seconds before the ocean reached up and erased them. This tragedy is a brutal lesson in the deceptive power of the sea. They were not swimming or taking a foolish risk. They were standing on dry land. They were simply in the path of a statistical anomaly, a rogue event that gives no warning. Their story is a chilling reminder that on the wild coasts of the world, you must never, ever turn your back on the water, because the ocean does not always announce its attack. The city council likely got a fine, while the families got a funeral. If you were the judge, Would you hold a city liable for a falling palm tree that stood for 50 years? Or is act of God just a legal shield for negligence? This is a test of your logic, not your emotions. Argue your case in the comments right now. If you want more reality check documentaries, subscribe and like this video.